Hello and welcome back to Making Video Your Business. Another episode this week in the hot seat. Become a good friend of mine, Andrew Fitzmaurice. Great at golf, annoyingly good at golf, but a great businessman, great guest. We're just going to have a chat, right? So welcome back. How are you, mate? How's your week been?
Week's been really good. We're here fresh off the back of a record week, as it would happen.
Really?
Yeah. I'm always very conscious of not having too much ego or hubris about celebrating that success. Because you're only as good as your last week.
Yes.
But no, things are good.
Tell us a little bit about what you do and who you are.
So MorePeople is a specialist recruitment company, and we deal in agriculture, foods, commercial horticulture. So things that people often don't think about unless they happen to work in the sector. But everything you eat, all the plants you buy will probably come through clients of ours, basically. So we do mid to senior level recruitment all around the UK, from retailers at their head offices, and then we go all the way through the supply chain at all the various different points of food manufacture, through to the land management and the environment and the growing at the very beginning. People just take it for granted, that food is always available, that it's safe, that it's consistent. You pull at a thread of something you've never thought of before necessarily, and before you know where you are, through a series of questions, you're into this minutiae around seed development and breeding, which costs millions, takes dozens of years, just to take it for granted when you go and buy a carrot or something at the end of the supermarket. So it's a really cool sector, as you know from doing some of those podcasts.
Just for clarity, we film a podcast with Andrew, so we go to their place. And why do you do a podcast? What do visuals play a role in your business for?
So the reason for our podcast, I guess, to shine some light on the sectors and the roles that maybe people don't really know about or appreciate. So we're blessed that we've got a really strong network, because that's what we do. All we do is talk to candidates or clients all day, every day, across different sectors, different role profiles and different levels. And we've been going for 25 years. So our network's really good, and we can get these people to agree to being in the hot seat the other way around. And we get to shine a light on the sectors that they're in, and they can bring to life the passion about the product or about the science or the technology. And hopefully, therefore, it's, broadly speaking, interesting, whether you're a sector specialist and you already know some of this stuff, but maybe you want to see this particular person in the spotlight, or you've never given it a second thought. And perhaps you're thinking about moving into another sector or breaking into this industry, having done nothing in it previously, but you didn't really know. You don't know what you don't know. For us, the making the visual piece was to really heighten awareness of that. And in recruitment, our day job's pretty simple. We are given vacancy briefs because there's something challenging that a client can't fill themselves, and we have a network of candidates that we can consistently, continually talk to and evolve and develop. So we can fill a job, we can find a candidate a position.
So are you saying, say someone will ring for a role at Elsom, say, and within your team, they already have someone in mind, an actual person with a name and a profile, right?
Quite often. I mean, the harder you work, the luckier you get as far as that's concerned. And there's lots of serendipity in recruitment where you find yourself in the right place at the right time because you've had those conversations about a candidate's future aspirations, and then you understand the client's challenges, and you can put the two together. So there's an element of that, but you also have to then potentially have to go and map and headhunt and source if you haven't got the people that are straight top of mind. We can go and talk to clients and candidates about vacancies or opportunities all day, but for us, this piece was to add another level, another, I won't say service necessarily, but another point of difference and another reason to have dialogue with more people, or from a branding perspective, from a marketing perspective, if more people is more top of mind. Because they've seen something else, then that's another reason for us to talk beyond the transactional day-to-day recruitment. Because we don't want to be talking to clients every 5 minutes just to sense check, is there an upcoming vacancy? And you don't want to badger a candidate about whether they're thinking about their next move.
True.
But this forms part of a suite of stuff we do, I guess. And we've got 2 excellent people in our marketing team. We're blessed to be a certain size now where we can justify a proper marketing function, which is rare for a 40-person recruitment business.
I mean, it's not a big business.
They're quite lean generally, so you don't like doing things that aren't fee earning, but they do an amazing job. And whether we're doing salary surveys or white papers about succession, or we run an executive networking dinner once a month, and we'll call upon this quality network to bring them together to have another reason to talk to them.
So what does it, have you had any feedback? What does it do for your business? I mean, obviously the exposure, but does it go down well? Do people go, oh, I'm not going on that, I don't do cameras?
There is pressure, because to your point, I think it's not most people's every Monday, so there is a bit of apprehension, but we calm them down. We talk about the purpose, and then you guys are great in the edit to paper over the cracks. So there is a bit of apprehension, and obviously diary management, because we do it as you do in one specific place, because we want the audio to be good, we want the video to be good, rather than have it as a glorified recorded Teams conversation. I think universally it goes down really well. I think people recognize that it's not just a vanity project.
No, it doesn't come across like it is actually shining a spotlight on your guests.
Well, yeah, I mean, Richard and I record almost all of them in turn, interviewing the guests. We're not necessarily the most natural presenters as you and Chris are.
I doubt.
But you get better at the things you practice, so we're evolving that. We're getting more and more comfortable as we do more of them. The feedback's really positive, and I think people rate the quality of the product, less so the quality of the interviewer maybe. I think some of it invariably falls into that marketing category.
Yeah, more is more, I think, nowadays.
But some of it is, how do you measure the efficacy of this thing? How do you measure how much money it's actually making? We've got a lot of things that we spend money on where the return on investment is quite tangible, and you can track it. We knew going into this it was going to be very difficult to not to monetize. I think we have monetized it, but to prove the ROI.
Welcome to my world. Selling video, trying to prove the ROI.
It's hard.
Like, how many times did you post it though? Because it relies on you.
Well, yeah, you have to buy into that and do it in a regimented, consistent way, as you know. But yes, it probably falls into the half my marketing works, half doesn't work, but I don't know which half is which. So you have to do all of it. But I think we went into it in a fairly open, eyes open sort of way, and we're now on 60 plus episodes in the can. We're also in the middle of a website redesign.
Oh, cool.
So our website redesign is having a revised podcast homepage to it.
Excellent.
Again, for the benefit of the SEO and the convenience, or how well optimized and how easily accessible all the previous podcasts are. Because as that body of work gets bigger and bigger, you don't want it to slow down.
Not at all.
The site, or take a while to give a reason to not watch it with a loading streaming kind of icon.
Yeah.
So that's happening, so we can put that a bit more front.
That's a great shout, to be fair, yeah.
And then we talk about newsletters. We send millions of targeted newsletters to our candidates and clients each year, and this becomes another pice of content. There's another
episode, isn't it, or a clip?
Yeah, and then it makes the newsletters more interesting, because it's not just article, blog, testimonial. You've got then the benefit of video. We know people learn in different ways and want to absorb their content in different ways. Some people will not read a paperback if you put a gun to their heads sometimes, but they might listen to the audiobook, or they might watch the synopsis on a YouTube video. I think if you cater to all the audiences, the podcasts are being transcribed, and they're going to be then turned into articles and blogs with perhaps further reading. To your point,
squeezing the juice from that lemon.
Yeah, you've got to make every pound work harder for yourselves. So whether that's about posting the main video and then the shorts, and having it in a regimented, every Friday there's an episode for us. We leave the weekend. Every Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, you then have a short. Leave the Thursday, Friday's new episode. Once you've set about doing it, you then just pre-program it all in there, and without plugging you guys shamelessly, because I'm not being paid for being here.
I made you a coffee.
You made me a coffee. You do serve up that content in that format that makes it quite easy to then just schedule it and knock it out. And again, shout out to our marketing team, who do a really good job of making sure that happens.
Oh, they do, yeah. And they're a delight to deal with as well.
They are quite nice.
You touched on a little bit there, but about your directors' dinners. Sorry, not called directors. Yeah. And I know you do a bit of like thought leadership, like you say, with surveys, white papers, sort of ideas. How do they work? How does that benefit the business?
So again, because I think we have the spotlight effect, that we think everyone's thinking about us all the time, and our own little our own little insecurities must be what everybody else is thinking about. Yeah. And they're not really, are they? Everyone's thinking about their own stuff.
Yeah.
So for us in recruitment, people are thinking about us maybe when they have a need, probably not thinking about us in the intervening period because they've got day jobs to do.
Yeah, of course.
And even when there's a vacancy or a need to move, there's other recruiters available. So there's no guarantee you're the one they think
that's
of.
True, yeah.
So for us, the dinners is another just top of mind initiative and a reason to be thinking about us and dealing with us, even if there isn't a requirement. So we have one a month usually, and we go Stamford, London.
Oh, okay, yeah.
So we try and move them around a bit. Stamford's obviously our hometown and where the office is. And we'll get 15 chief exec board level types
that you currently do business with, or you'd like to, or
both
in
the mix. And we'll try and have a debate, and there's a bit of networking, so there's introductions, so everyone gets to know everybody, and there'll be some debate, maybe centered around what's topical at this point in time. Yeah. And there have been key challenging topics, whether it's been a Brexit or a COVID or remote working or driver shortages or weather. There's a cathartic unloading of these problems, and people are very, in my experience, very giving with what they talk about, even though some of it is borderline confidential or proprietary, and there's quasi competitors in the room. But through sharing these issues, we then try and encourage them to come back with some solutions.
Quite a safe space.
And people usually do that, which is great, because if they didn't do that and there was a silence when we went to the debate portion, it would be quite an awkward wooden evening. And people, they ease into it and they get more comfortable, and the quality of the conversation goes up.
Yeah.
And I think for us, it's another reason, because we'll invite different team members as well, and we're showing them the value of having knowledge and how you need to be able to network at a high level. And you get the upside of having some nice wine and some nice food. And I think all our team have good manners and table etiquette, but you learn that.
Of course.
But again, from our client perspective, they get to then witness that we are as credible as we claim to be, because the caliber of the guests is very high and the caliber of the conversation is quite high. I'm pretty confident I can say that when people leave those dinners, they go, oh, that's a really good business. And you like those people. And it may be they've had negative experiences with the recruiters, and don't hold us in particularly high regard. Or maybe they just didn't know of MorePeople and know what our proposition is. And I'm pretty confident that when they leave those evenings, they go, oh, you've gone up in my estimation for all of these various reasons. Does that increase the likelihood they'll consider us next time? I would say that's a guaranteed scenario.
It's silly not to.
You don't always win the work, but I think our awareness and credibility is heightened through not just the dinner, but to your point, all the attempted thought leadership things we do. And thought leadership's one of those phrases which is bandied around, where you've got 1 billion people on LinkedIn and 50% of them are thought leaders. It doesn't really make any sense. So I'm always a bit cagey about the phrase.
Just go back on the video thing. Have you got to the stage yet where people are sending you video submissions, not instead of a CV, but attached to, like cover letter, but spoken word? Is that a thing, or will it be a thing?
I think it will be a thing. Our industry is not necessarily known as being one for the early adopters and the most progressive, but I think there's definitely a role to play. We keep putting it into our presentations and pitches that we can lean upon you guys to create this body of work and this resource which brings things to life more than just reading the job description. So I think there's definitely a place for it. And there'll be a bit of an arms race, I think. There's people make it the norm. If you haven't got it, you're going to be in trouble to promote why you want to work for this business, or how you bring to life that commercial director role above another one. There's definitely a role for it in the submission of candidates to, again, get them to jump off the page a bit more than just a CV.
That's it. It's standing out a little bit, isn't it?
But when you're hiring for culture, and fit as much as you are hard skills, then those sorts of materials will make a difference. That said, again, for the same reasons we do the podcast well, the tolerance for poor sound or poorly framed things, shout out Toby, or terrible backgrounds or whatever it is, the tolerance and patience will be very, very low. And the apprehension, back to the other point about the podcast, the apprehension of candidates to do this stuff is going to be there, because they're not well versed in doing it. So yes, I think there's a way and a means somewhere of making it part of every process.
Yeah.
Probably not quite there yet. I think my challenge, if I was thinking about myself as a candidate, because I wear a number of different hats, which version of me am I meant to be? I remember interviewing for a job. I got the job 15, 16, 17 years ago. And at the end of the process, the one reservation that came up from the guy that was interviewing me said, this is not a direct quote, but the inference was, are you a bit boring?
Wow.
Are you a bit straight-laced?
Right.
I'm thinking,
And that's the way you played it, obviously.
well, yeah, because it's a formal interview for a decent-sized job.
Yeah.
So I wasn't gesticulating wildly and smiling too much. I was being the serious version. Now, I don't think I'm particularly serious
No, you're
as
top
a rule, but there is reasons when you need to play that card.
Yes.
So my fear in that scenario would be, which version do I lead with? Because you could go one way and get it wildly wrong, and could go the other way and get it wildly wrong. So it is a big challenge, I think, even if you were using video to read culture and supposed fit. The key thing for all of this, and whether it's a podcast, whether it's an interview, whether it's your CV or your job application or a supporting video, I think authenticity is
Key.
is the word. You need to be authentically yourself. If it turns out it's the wrong fit, it's probably the wrong fit for you anyway.
Yes.
So I think there's no point in being some best version of yourself if you're having to burn so much energy to stretch, to pretend to be this thing.
Yeah, it's never going to work
that you aren't. But the nature of that reality, I think, comes as you grow up a bit. You get more comfortable in your own skin, and you've got evidence that I tried to not be myself for that, didn't work. So I might as well just be the authentic version of myself. If you don't like it, pick somebody else.
Yeah. Top 3 tips for someone looking to do visuals, make their business, more visual. What's swinging around your head for those?
I've used the phrase a few times recently, but this idea that you get better at what you practice. Mm-hmm. So if you want to get better at being in front of camera, you're just going to have to do it. Yeah. There's no real way to fake it. Or maybe you can fake it until you make it, or fake it till you become it.
Yeah.
To plug an Amy Cuddy TED Talk. It's worth watching.
Love TED Talks.
I think be patient and give yourself some time, whether that's time for it to take off or time for you to get comfortable. I think patience is a really key attribute, and I've joked about it before. I'm extremely impatient, so I have to work on that.
I was going to say, do you consciously work on that?
Yeah.
Yeah.
We do lots of personality profiling internally and externally, and the one that we use in particular is called Drake P3, and patience is on there. It's like a slider, like a mixing desk slider.
Right.
So there's 4 things that slide up and down.
Okay.
So you've got your natural state and then where you're flexing to.
Right.
So my natural patience is impatient.
Yeah.
And I'm flexing it way up to be more patient, to allow the team to come through and not to just leap on things and apply my level of impatience to everything. So I think being patient is the second tip. The third tip, I think, is you need to have the benefit of feedback. And the benefit of looking at what you do with a critical eye so that you can try and consciously improve.
Yes.
Whether it's watching your golf swing back on a video, as cringe as it is because no one likes to see it, at least you'll learn something from it.
Yeah, no, sure.
So I will watch back the things that we're doing, and I'll listen back to them with a view to improving.
Yes.
It's not just pure narcissism that I want to watch my own stuff. Far from it, because you sound different.
Yeah.
Than you hear your own voice.
Really do, yeah.
There's always an odd mannerism where you're like, why have I pulled that face? Must aim to not pull that face. To improve, there has to be some feedback and some conscious level of competence where you're trying so hard. And I am trying hard. I'm trying hard not to move in my seat. I'm trying hard not to gesticulate like a lunatic.
Yeah.
And I'm trying hard to choose all of my words carefully and not populate it with loads of filler words.
Yes.
Which is so easy to do when you're desperate to speak and you feel a bit rushed. And I have definitely got better at that through consciously practicing it. And I kick myself a lot if I use repetition of words when I watch them back.
Right. You said obviously 3 times this over.
I said showcase in about 3 or 4 times in one of the previous ones. I wanted to die. It's not narcissism. It's with a view to trying to get better. So it's like a purposeful practice or a purposeful piece of feedback. The challenge I find is on the really good episodes where I've asked a good open question, you then don't have to do anything.
No, you just sit
you
back.
feel like a spare part. So there's a minor panic thinking, I haven't contributed in what feels like ages, but I don't want to stop this
Their flow,
this quality flow. So there's an element of inserting a variety of active listening cues. So you're not just to every single thing. There's a conscious competence to that. But that's a good thing. If you've managed to ask a quality question that didn't require any further interjection, then you've done a good job as an interviewer.
Yeah.
But there's so many little cues like that you want to get better at, because there's the challenge I often have is I'm listening with an intent to reply, because I'm half listening, but I'm also trying to cue the next question.
That's why I bring a notebook.
So I don't look like an idiot in a minute when there's a big pregnant pause. Not that it would matter if she'd edit it out.
Yeah.
But I'm always conscious of making sure you're actively listening to understand and not just listening with the intent to reply in a minute with another question.
It could be related to what they've just said as well. That's poor.
Oh, yeah, if you're not listening and you just, you ask the same question that they just answered, that's a nightmare. But then being so conscious of how you look in a weird, again, slightly narcissistic way.
I did 10 minutes ago. I thought, did I do my hair before?
Well, I'm not so bothered about that bit. I'm more bothered about whether my curious face looks miserable. You can go on forever on these things, and that's why it's quite a fun journey and quite a fun experience, which I also then insert into the team meetings that I give.
Yeah.
Or if I go to a university and run a lecture for 200 people, the comfort that I have and the habits that I'm learning to improve will be in that as well. So from a selfish personal development perspective, I've got stuff out of it for me as well.
Last question, because I know you're a big reader, business books, self-development, for the benefit of the business as well as yourself. Is there any hot titles out there at the minute?
I've just finished a Malcolm Gladwell book called Tipping Point.
We spoke about this a few weeks ago, didn't we?
Good.
It's quite an older book.
And that was, I don't know why I picked that one up, but I do like Malcolm Gladwell, but that was quite good because it showed how certain things, to the very point we're doing here, certain things do eventually just tip and creep forwards. And you can look at some case studies in that book about why certain things did tip and why certain things didn't. Yeah. So I've highlighted a few pages of that to give to marketing to go, this is actually about an epidemic, an American epidemic. But I think if we just change the subject matter and make it about our email marketing, then there's an example.
Yeah.
There's another book, I think it's called Talk Like TED.
Oh, right, yeah.
Which is a TED Talk
like how
referenced and how to present, how to, if you're aspiring to be a TED Talk person, which I'm not really, I think that's unlikely. But again, learning some of the tools and the experiences that pertain more to video than just general business.
Yeah. What about visual? We're on a visual podcast. Like, what are you watching on telly? Box sets, films, favourites?
The Righteous Gemstones.
Oh, I heard about that. Joe Rogan mentioned that actually the other day.
Danny McBride. I'm watching that. That's quite funny.
Yeah.
I am guilty of rewatching lots and lots of things. I will stick to what I like, whether it's Succession or Billions or Yellowstone, and I'll go back round again, which I probably shouldn't. Jaws would be up there.
Yeah. Seven's up there for me because the amount of... I'd never watched a film that made me shout at the TV before. What's in the box? I was like, Brad, don't do it.
Yeah. The thing with films is I quote them all the time in the office, and it feels like a generation just doesn't watch them as much as we did. Yeah. So they all look at me mad because they don't pick up on the references.
Mate, listen, thanks for coming on. I couldn't believe it was 2 years since you've been on. Don't leave it so long next time. Do come back. Hopefully I'll see you soon anyway. Guys, someone next week will be sat in Andrew's chair. They might not be as interesting or exciting, or maybe they'll be better. Tune in to find out.